Hello YouTube, Damo_23 here and welcome back to another video on the YouTube channel. In today's video, we've of course got our Game Week 10 recap, our Game Week 11 preview, and we're going to explain how our rank went skyrocketing to inside the top 15k. If you do enjoy the content, and these guys have been smashing the absolute bejeebers out the like button and the views for the FPL side of my content, give this episode a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, let me know after 10 game weeks where your rank sits and what your goal is to finish FPL by the end of game week 38. Also, we'll mention quickly as well, Football Manager is in full swing. In between all my poker and me playing semi-professionally at the moment, I am, of course, doing a lot of FM content. You can see at the moment my Bailey save with Spurs. We're looking to do better than Ange Postecoglou, and you can see Son and Maddison being managed by myself. You also will have a We Are Wrexham sort of save as well as we take over Wrexham for my main save, and I do release some shorts as well. So the YouTube channel at the moment is the place to be, and if you ever do watch a video on my YouTube that is FM, just let me know you're from this FPL video. That would be kind in the comment section. Let's get straight into the team though, and it was not bad. 87 points is fantastic. If you bring up the magical Excel spreadsheet, it will show a couple of things. It'll firstly show that with a game week rank under 500k, you will see usually big green arrows, and more importantly, if you do that every single game week, you'll probably win FPL because you'll just be miles better than the rest of the competition. This game week rank isn't attainable, but this is the second time inside the top 500k, third time, sorry, including season 1, game week 1, game week 8, and game week 10. In terms of the overall rank, a big green arrow of 42.9k, basically 43k, an upward swing, and it's mainly down to a decision we made to bring in Tsimikas and a decision to make sure we kept and started with Darwin Núñez on my wild card. To have triple Liverpool in a game where Liverpool have been running so superb over the last few weeks really did help smash it this week, and that was kind of my punt of the week, is to have that combo of Darwin and Tsimikas for a 16-pointer and to go against the grain and not have Watkins. In the end, I think we've made a very good choice for now, and I do see a world where Darwin does outscore Watkins over the next 5 game weeks, which we'll discuss in this video, of course, as well. On top of that, we could have had an even better week, as you see in my game week notes, that if I captained Haaland, which I did stew over, I will say that between Son, Salah and Haaland, it was all very close this game week. If we went Haaland, we would have got an extra little bit of pointage, and we probably would have been inside the top 10k. And look, for you guys that have been watching every episode, you know what my goal is. For you guys that this might be your first episode, I've never finished inside the top 50k on FPL. I've had a lot of top 300, 100k finishes, never inside the top 50. I'm well on my way to achieving that goal this season. Before we get into the team breakdown, in terms of my leagues, you guys know I'm in a few paid leagues. I'm second in a couple of my head-to-head paid leagues, first in one of the others, which is not a paid head-to-head league. It's one of the Discord leagues, and then in the other one where it's all nice and tight, I've moved into 5th and very, very congested. Important to note, in the one that I am 5th, even though I'm behind by 4 or 5 points, I have the most points in the league by 16. Just shows head-to-head has a lot of variance. And a few of my paid head-to-head leagues, though, I'm top in one, second in another by a couple of points as well. And I'm second in the Ultras one too. And this is all the Fantasy Football Manager Ultras, all in the same league. And to think that I'm second out of everyone that is, currently paying to use all the features on Fantasy Football Hub really just shows that we've made some really good decisions this season, and yet again in game week 10 we did. Let's discuss the points here quickly before we get into game week 11, where I have 2 free transfers and I don't know what I'm doing. And it is Areola and net. Turner and Areola both made saves, both conceded. Turner obviously a mistake for one of our goals on the weekend. Trippier, 0-pointer, does happen to the best FPL assets. Not overly concerned, but he is a guy I do need to discuss because in game week 11 he does not have a favourable fixture. Tsimikas, 6-pointer, Cash, 5-pointer, got subbed off before the goal went in for Villa. And I'm going to leave Son and Maddison to last in this list. Gordon, 2-pointer, yet again does happen. Salah, 16-pointer as captain, never going to complain. Diaby, we've been paid our dues here. We've waited so often for a Diaby return. He's been a little bit unlucky in a few games to get a 13-pointer. He's massive for our rank, and that is what exactly we were after as well. Now, Darwin got 10, great for our rank. Haaland got 16, wish we captained him, didn't do it. Against Man United, this was always on the cards. We did and ah between Haaland and Salah, and occasionally on Son, but it spent more time between the two. And yet again, for the second, third week in a row, even though I've had a great game week and a positive rank, if we got our captaincy right, it would have been even bigger. So maybe that's something to focus in on, making sure we get the best option for this game week. Let's discuss Maddison and Son, and it ties into Trippier and it ties into a player that I want, which is Saka, in game week 11. Salah and Son and Maddison and Haaland have all been in my team since game week 1, and we have a very good rank. Haaland and Salah, you will say, are comfortably well on their way to over 200 points. If you have a look at Son, though, he's also well on his way to over 200 points. He's already on 152. No, that's not this game week. That's last week. Can we see his current points at the moment? Total points 78. If you times that by another 20 games, he's going to be over 200 points. Maddison, yet again, same thing on 62. He gets to 120, gets to about 180 to about 200 points in another 20 game weeks. All of a sudden, there's 5 guys there that are getting in and around the 200 point mark. And if you're getting 200 points from half your team, basically, you're going to be up towards the top end and the pointy end of the fantasy Premier League charts in terms of the rank, in overall rank, and in your paid head-to-head leagues and your paid, classical leagues. With that being said, how do I drop Maddison and Son with the form they're in, knowing they have no European football, playing every game week, and are going to be at the forefront of the goals for the team that's currently top in the Premier League, playing some smexy football? I don't think there is a world that we can't, or we can, drop these two, which means at the moment there's no clear route to get Saka back in, who out of all the Arsenal options, even though Arsenal haven't been the greatest going forward, is the best Arsenal option there is. It leaves me in a bit of an interesting spot moving forward in terms of transfers. I have 2 free transfers. My team's in a very good spot at the moment. How do we even use one transfer on this team? We'll discuss how it's selected. For those listening with audio, for those on the visual, you'll see it's already a 4-4-2, which is the first time I'm looking like lining up in a 4-4-2 by memory. I think we played 4-5-1 a couple of times. We've not played a 4-4-2. And that's mainly due to the Arsenal play Newcastle fixture. Gordon's gone first sub, and that means that we can bring in a back 4 that looks like Trippier, Tsimikas, Cash, and Preivew, who's been on my bench for the last few game weeks. Areola over Turner, that's only because I don't know who's the better option. It's up in the air. They're both going to concede more than likely. Start with Preivew before I discuss the potential of what to do with Trippier moving forward. We held him through this fixture run. We obviously got a very good 9-pointer in game week 8 when we wildcarded him in. We benched him the last 2 game weeks for the 0 and 1-pointer, and that's because he goes Burnley, Everton, Luton, where he will start. Palace are a very decent defensive side where they have very good defensive numbers and generally don't score a lot of goals. So, like what Preivew did in game week 8, will be very good for bonus and could be a 9-pointer here, and it could potentially be 3 clean sheets in the next 3. He'd then be droppable in game week 14 before playing Bournemouth in game week 15, which means you could almost have a look at Preivew and go, there's potential for 4 clean sheets over the next 5. And he's cheap enough still at 4.5 mil to bench against the likes of Liverpool, City, Brighton, Chelsea moving forward when the fixtures aren't particularly great. And he's a very good player to keep in your team for when those good fixtures do swing around again before your next wild card. I think he's great. Obviously, Cash and Tsimikas need no introduction. They're just brilliant. And at least it's with Trippier against Arsenal. Now, I'm playing him over Gordon for a couple of reasons. A, he's a better asset. Secondly, Arsenal's attacking numbers haven't been great. And if I was to predict the scoreline in this game, I think it's either going to finish 0-0, 1-0 either way, or 1-1. That generally means there is the opportunity for maybe Trippier to get an attacking return and concede, which is why he's a good asset. But in a perfect world, and I will say this, in a perfect world, I'd arguably like to have him first bench and have a better option, move into my midfield and go to a 3-5-2. I don't know how we're going to do that because the obvious moving forward long-term, and our whole gameplay this year has been about long-term, is to get Saka in. Is it selling Trippier to a cheaper option? Does then fund Gordon up to Saka? Seems like that's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction after a bad week. And considering that there is the Bournemouth fixture next up, Everton in the not-too-distant future, and for 17, 18 and 19, they go Fulham, Luton and Forest, which looks like 3 nailed clean sheets for Newcastle at the moment. I don't think there is a world where you really can sell Kieran Trippier, but if you can bench him in a couple of these harder game weeks, it's not too bad as well. So at the moment, that's there, but that's an option maybe to look at on Fantasy Football Hub in a second. Now, the midfield 4, as I said, Diaby and Salah have got Forest and Luton. They'd picked themselves. At the moment, the captain's on Haaland, which I'll explain in a sec. It's Maddison and Son. Now, if I wanted to get Saka in long term, I'm not saying that I'll do it this game week. I'd probably wait in one more game week to get Saka if I was. It would be for either selling Maddison to Saka with the money in the bank. It doesn't quite work out, unfortunately. Or it would be Son down, which would free up some funds, of course, as well. As mentioned, I don't see a world where I'm ever going to sell these two unless they got a long-term injury. That's mainly down to the fact that they're both over. They're overperforming and they're both going to get over 200 points based on what they're doing at the moment. There might be a world where Maddison gets just below, but if he gets around the mark and Son gets well over, which it looks like Son will because he's playing 9, I'm never selling. Now, that leaves me with Haaland up front against Bournemouth. If you don't own a Haaland, I wouldn't be panicking to get him in. You're just going to have to ride this as a very bad game week. Stay the course until game week 16, 17. But yeah, we never had any plans to sell him. And with him in the team, playing against one of the worst defences in the league and at home, and after slapping Man United, I just don't see a world where this guy does not pop off against Bournemouth. So he's captain. And Darwin against Luton, I will say right now, he will start, he will play, he will probably score, and will probably outscore Watkins again. I'm very happy I own him. Bench obviously has Archer and Lamptey. Maybe 2 problem players. Maybe Archer could go down as an option down to someone that would just sit third bench and a bit cheaper. And maybe that could help fund Lamptey up. But as you can see, in my transfer tab, I've only got 0.5 mil to spend. That does give me the option to move Lamptey to a couple of areas. And we'll discuss transfers now and what I'm planning to do this game week. We do know if you watched last episode, and if you did not, I'm planning to eventually have a team that has Cole Palmer in it for Chelsea's good fixtures, a team of Levi Colwell, who has good fixtures, and of course, Lucky Last on top of that as well. That would fund me some money in the bank to make sure Saka is part of this team, and it's more than likely Saka will be in with this team with Diaby, Maddison, Son, and the potential for me to drop Darwin Núñez. I will say, though, at the moment, Darwin does look nailed. And if Darwin's continuing to be nailed and miss one of every 5 and play the other 4, he's probably never going to be sold out of this team either, which I know is a very crazy thing to say. But if they're good assets and they're playing for Liverpool scoring goals, you really can't drop them. Now, if you have a look at what my recommended transfers are on the AI, which I completely disagree with, by the way, right now, they want me to sell Diaby to Mbeumo. I'm not selling Diaby before the guy plays Nottingham Forest, who have been on a little bit of a decline, and he just got a 13-pointer. I know Mbeumo's had a pretty good time of it of late, and we did own him originally before the wild card, but it's not the time to be selling Diaby to Mbeumo. He's not really particularly the option I would move to. Now, the other one's to sell Guehi for Taylor. Yet again, I think that AI has had this massively wrong. Guehi's got 3 great options, 3 potential clean sheets, 5 and 4. Why would I sell him to a 3.9 million asset who just scored 1 goal in the last game and will probably not score and keep clean sheets moving forward? And lucky last, if I was to do that, they would look for me to try and get Darwin up to Watkins and make another transfer, probably to fund that and take a hit. Yet again, I'm saying it right now, I think Watkins is going to be outscored by Darwin over the next 5 as long as he starts 3 or 4 for the next 5. That leaves me in a weird spot. It leaves me in a spot where my team rating is 97% moving forward, 91% at the moment, 0.5 in the bank with no clear transfer, which means that am I burning a transfer this week, which I'm not a fan of. I haven't taken a hit at all this season, and I've not burnt a transfer at all this season. We could go Maddison to Saka right now, but Saka plays Newcastle before he goes plays Burnley and Brentford, which wouldn't be bad, but I don't want to do that. Maddison then gets Wolves and Villa, and I think they've scored all 3 games to Spurs, which means we could either move Diaby up to a Bowen, which I don't think's smart because he got Forest. Darwin could potentially go up towards Watkins and make another move elsewhere. And I don't want to sell Trippier. So there's a couple options here. We either do A, Lamptey to, I can't believe I'm saying this, a Harry Maguire, which I know Man United haven't been great, but against Fulham, then Luton, then Everton, there's 3 potential clean sheets for Man United. I don't trust them. I don't particularly like them, but it would allow me in this game week to play Maguire over Trippier, which I know sounds crazy to people, but I think that's more of a nailed-on clean sheet than Trippier against Arsenal. My only issue is the ownership of Trippier, and that would be scary to go against. And it allows me to play Maguire against Luton when maybe we play Brentford and I can bench Tsimikas, who probably doesn't keep a clean sheet in that game. We'll probably concede to Brentford. And it allows me in the week where we play Liverpool to also bench Tsimikas when they play Everton, who, by the way, look on the bounce and maybe it's not the greatest plan, but it allows me to have still 0.2 in the bank and move Lamptey up to a playing option. It also means by that stage we could be moving Gordon down to Cole Palmer, who does still look nailed. But if you have a look at Palmer, and as mentioned previously, Spurs, City, Newcastle, you're not getting him until 4 more game weeks when everything's all said and done. That's one option. The other option is to leave it as such and switch that with Lamptey and move it back the other way. Remember, it's 0.5, not 0.4. We're just clicking around. Could actually move Gordon down to a guy called Han Wei Chan, who plays Sheffield this week, and allow me to drop Trippier for an attacking option against Sheffield. Will allow me to bench him next week, where I will have a lot of good fixtures in my back three or my back four if I go that way, and my 4-4-2 would look good next week. And then will allow me to play him against Fulham the game week after. What it also would allow me to do is after that for Henry Chan, after he plays Fulham, goes Arsenal, Burnley, Forest. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's where Chelsea's good fixtures come in. I would then get Henry Chan to move to a Cole Palmer to free up funds, which would allow me to do, obviously, Chan down to Palmer, Lamptey up to Levi Colwell, and still have a little bit of money in the bank. And that would give me an option that with that little bit of money of a bank, if I wanted to get Saka in badly, it'd be Darwin down to a playing 5 or 5.5 mil striker and Saka in over the lights of over that, maybe that Cole Palmer, which I don't think is a good option. So it gives us some sort of flexibility, but it puts us in a weird position. Do we burn and leave the team as it is? Do we bring in Hang Hee Chan to play against Sheffield, but then leave me in a weird position of where it makes that Saka move even harder? Is it an option where we just move Lamptey to Maguire and fixture, rotate and drop Trippier this week? Or is it a week where Trippier has to stay on because of his ownership and it is where we make another move somewhere else to maybe attack a fixture? I don't know what that move will be. Maybe there's a world where we sell maybe a Maddison or Son down to someone to then get Alvarez in. I don't like that move either. I'm actually stuck. I don't know what to do. But this is the beauty of being in the top 12k. My team looks good on paper. There's a good likelihood that I'll have a good week, but I don't know how aggressive we can be being at this rank. Let me know what you would do. Would you go to Bruno Fernandes? That sounds a bit crazy to say. I don't know what to do. At the moment, I'm thinking about the move on screen as Gordon down to Han Hee Chan, and then obviously do this and play him over Trippier, which would be huge to do. But that would be the option, because then the next game week would be Guehi back in, have that sort of team there, and maybe that's the week we move Lamptey to someone else. I'm not too sure. If Levi Colwell wasn't 4.6 mil, I would just go Lamptey to Colwell. No money in the bank, but have one move already pre-planned for my two to get Cole Palmer in as well. I'm not entirely sure. With that being said, though, that's the episode. That's how we got inside the top 15k this game week. I don't know what to do. I will be discussing this more in future with the podcast with Paulie. I'm still very confused after talking about it all with you guys. I honestly think I could be burning a transfer this week, which I know sounds ludicrous and crazy, but, without Saka having his great game week this game week, I can't really sell Maddison or Son to him. I'm stuck. Help. With that being said, links down below. Follow us live on Twitch. Of course, I watch Football Manager content. Let me know how your game week ranks are going and how you're going for this game week. Let me know what your transfer moves are. And until next time, which hopefully will be after another green arrow and inside the top 10k, I'll see you guys then. Thank you and goodbye.